Every society has a promise etched into its foundation that hard work will bring prosperity, that effort is rewarded, and that the system is fair. Yet as history unfolds, we see a very different reality. From ancient empires to modern nations, the mechanisms of wealth have always been carefully controlled, often invisibly, to benefit a few while keeping the many perpetually dependent. Before we dive deeper, make sure to subscribe to the Echoes of Wealth for more insights into the hidden forces shaping our finances and the history of money. By subscribing, you'll never miss a story that reveals how wealth, power, and control intertwine across generations. The story of how governments have engineered a system to keep ordinary people financially restrained is long, complex, and often hidden in plain sight. The first clue lies in the very concept of money itself. Money is not just currency, it is power. In the earliest civilizations, rulers understood that controlling money meant controlling society. Coins were minted, debts were enforced, and wealth became concentrated in the hands of those who designed the rules. The same principle persists today, albeit in a far more sophisticated and subtle form. Governments issue currency, regulate banks, and manage interest rates. Every policy, every law, every financial maneuver is crafted with a dual purpose: to maintain economic stability on the surface and to perpetuate control beneath it. Consider debt. For centuries, debt has been the invisible tether that keeps people bound to the system. Ancient Rome perfected it, with citizens often owing more to the state than they could repay, effectively turning them into perpetual laborers for the empire. Modern economies have refined this concept into student loans, mortgages, credit cards, and personal loans. Debt is no longer just a tool of necessity, it is a sophisticated mechanism that ensures consistent dependence. People are encouraged, sometimes coerced, into borrowing, while interest and inflation silently erode their capacity to accumulate wealth. What is portrayed as opportunity often functions as a trap. The tax system, one of the most universally accepted features of governance, is another subtle form of control. Taxes fund infrastructure, social programs, and defense, yet they are designed in a way that disproportionately impacts those who are trying to climb the economic ladder. Wealthy individuals and corporations often have their sources to exploit loopholes and influence legislation, while ordinary citizens shoulder the burden. Taxes are not just about contribution to society, they are a tool to redistribute effort and ensure the rich get richer while the majority remain financially constrained. Monetary policy plays a critical role. Central banks control interest rates, adjust the money supply, and dictate the rules of credit. These actions, seemingly abstract, ripple through every household and business. Inflation, often framed as a minor inconvenience, quietly diminishes savings, ensuring that money in your pocket loses value over time. Meanwhile, those with investments, access to hedges, and knowledge of financial systems often see their wealth grow. The system is carefully engineered so that everyday citizens struggle to maintain purchasing power, while those in positions of influence capitalize on the very fluctuations that erode their wealth. Education, often touted as the great equalizer, is also part of this intricate design. Public education equips people with basic skills to enter the workforce, but rarely teaches the mechanics of money, debt, or wealth accumulation. By controlling knowledge, governments and financial institutions ensure that citizens participate in the economy in ways that sustain the system rather than challenge it. The lessons of investing, financial independence, and wealth protection are left to those who can afford specialized education or mentorship, reinforcing a cycle of dependence. Even the job market has been subtly structured to maintain financial inertia. Career paths, promotion systems, and corporate hierarchies are designed to reward loyalty, conformity, and continuous labor rather than innovation or self-directed wealth creation. The promise of a paycheck becomes the tether that keeps people engaged, while the illusion of stability discourages risk-taking or alternative pathways to prosperity. Benefits like pensions, retirement funds, and health insurance are framed as security, yet they often bind people to the system that limits their financial freedom. History provides countless examples of these mechanisms in action. During the Industrial Revolution, governments and financiers created vast labor-dependent systems that enriched industrialists while keeping workers in cycles of poverty and dependence. In the 20th century, inflation, taxation, and housing policies were orchestrated in ways that benefited urban elites and disenfranchised the majority. Even today, policies on credit, bailouts, and quantitative easing favor those already at the top, while average citizens bear the subtle costs through diminished earning power and rising living expenses. And yet this system is rarely questioned at its roots. It is presented as natural, inevitable, and necessary. The structures are embedded in legislation, financial institutions, and cultural norms. The average person believes they are simply participating in a fair economy, unaware that every paycheck, every loan, and every tax decision is part of a carefully engineered system designed to limit financial mobility. The design is so seamless that most never pause to consider who benefits and who is constrained. But understanding this system is the first step toward reclaiming financial agency. Wealth is not purely a product of luck or effort. It is also a product of strategy, knowledge, and awareness of the rules that govern money. Recognizing the subtle ways in which governments influence debt, inflation, and access to financial knowledge allows individuals to navigate the system more effectively. History shows that those who understand the architecture of control, whether merchants, industrialists, or modern investors, can carve a path toward autonomy even within a restrictive framework. The most striking aspect of this system is its invisibility. Unlike overt oppression, it does not rely on force or coercion. Instead, it functions through accepted norms, policies, and economic behaviors. It disguises control as opportunity, dependence as choice, and limitation as stability. This quiet orchestration ensures that society operates efficiently while wealth remains concentrated. The brilliance and the cruelty of this system lie in its subtlety, so pervasive that it shapes behavior without ever announcing itself. In the end, the story of financial control is not simply about economics. It is about power, influence, and the structures that shape human lives across generations. It is a narrative of design, not accident. Governments, institutions, and financial systems have, over centuries, perfected the art of keeping the majority financially constrained while empowering a few. To understand this is not to despair, but to recognize the forces at play and reclaim agency where possible. Wealth, after all, is not only a measure of money, but of knowledge, strategy, and awareness of the invisible hands that guide the world. As you navigate your own financial life, remember that the system was not built to favor you automatically. It was designed to shape behavior, influence choices, and maintain cycles of dependence. Awareness, education, and deliberate action are the tools by which individuals can break free from constraints. History is full of examples where understanding the system empowered ordinary people to achieve extraordinary outcomes. By studying these patterns, questioning accepted norms, and seeking knowledge beyond conventional paths, financial freedom is not only possible, it is achievable. The invisible architecture of control may be vast and complex, but it is not insurmountable. Governments have engineered a system to keep most people financially tethered, but they cannot engineer knowledge, strategy, or resilience. Recognizing the patterns of dependence is the first step toward dismantling them in your own life. The story of wealth is not just about money. It is about understanding the rules, anticipating the moves of those in power, and reclaiming the autonomy that has always been your birthright.